over 1,500 victims, and a 15-year reign of terror. These apex predators were the Maneaters of June. The pride of 15 lions turned man-eaters that remained at large for over a decade, terrorizing the people of Tanzania. This is their story. Legends shudder in the presence of true terror. The infamous Tsavo man-eaters may have garnered worldwide notoriety, but their sinister deeds pale in comparison to the lions of June. In the depths of southern Tanzania, a pride of 15 lions unleashed a reign of terror that gripped the region from 1932 to 1947, with a bloodlust that knew no bounds. These cunning predators prowled under the cloak of darkness, leaving in their wake a trail of unimaginable horror. Their prey? Human souls. But what made these lions so formidable? They were not ordinary beasts. Reports emerged of their calculated strategies, employing a chilling relay system to drag lifeless bodies deep into the haunting wilderness. The colonial government had foolishly slaughtered countless zebras, giraffes, and buffaloes to safeguard livestock from the ravages of rinderpest. Little did they know that their ill-fated actions would unleash an even greater menace upon the land. Locals whispered a different story, one that sent shivers down spines. They believed that a malevolent witch doctor named Matamula Mangara, cast out as headman from the Iyayi village, controlled these feral demons. As the body count escalated, fear gripped the hearts of the people. Darkness descended, and the lion's roar became an omen of impending doom. Whispers of these man-eaters had circulated for years, their brutal killings etched into the region's history. Strange tales of witchcraft and lion men emerged. Could there be truth hidden in these legends? The villagers were terrified and relayed chilling accounts of a man masquerading as a lion, preying on unsuspecting victims. The line between human and beast blurred. In came George Gilman Rushby, an experienced elephant hunter in Tanzania, who had heard of the beasts that were terrorizing the region. Intrigued by the supernatural whispers, he couldn't help but wonder if his trusty rifle would be enough to confront the looming threat of the man-eating lions. When he arrived, he found only scant references to the lions. Even the local game scouts seemed reluctant to discuss them, as if silence could ward off their terrifying presence. This hushed fear suggested a grave dilemma. Uttering the lion's name was believed to invoke a dark fate upon the speaker, adding an eerie dimension to the unfolding mystery. Amidst the chaos of establishing his new office, the road foreman, charged in his face etched with anger and frustration. He demanded answers, questioning George's plans to confront the looming threat of the lions. Half of his crew had fallen prey to these vicious predators, while the remaining workers trembled in paralyzing fear. The weight of responsibility increased, and George prepared to face an adversary that lurked within the heart of darkness. While driving to Beryl Flats, George picked up two elderly African hitchhikers, hoping to gather information about the local lions. Speaking of such matters was considered taboo and dangerous, but George took a chance. When he asked about the dangers of walking in the area, one man's face flashed with fear. He cryptically replied that the real danger lies beyond the Rubato River. George didn't press further and dropped the men off. He then visited a local hotel run by James Cormack, a Scottish former athlete. After discussing politics, George redirected the conversation to man-eaters. Cormack revealed that the lions had crossed the river, possibly seeking respite from leopard troubles. Leopard attacks were rare, but lion sightings were a cause for concern. Cormack warned George about the difficulty of obtaining information, as locals were reluctant to discuss sensitive matters. After expressing his disdain for politicians, George continued his journey, now aware that the river and surrounding swamps acted as a natural barrier against the lions. He arrived at the Engine Bay Administrative Station, nestled amidst green hills and a picturesque waterfall. Inside, he met the local gamekeeper called Smith, who revealed the grim state of the district, unrolling a map on his desk. The killings by the lions had started in 1932, with no evidence of anything other than lion attacks. Despite efforts by African police and game scouts, no lions had been successfully shot. George was perplexed by this revelation. He dared to ask the dreaded question, "How many lions?" Smith showed him the lion's vast hunting range, estimating around 1,500 square miles. The local village head kept records from 1941, listing 230 deaths in just 4 years. The total death toll likely exceeded 1,500. Smith urged immediate action, and George vowed to find a solution. They visited Reverend Martin N., who shared his records of 200 deaths in the past 2 years. Locals believed the lions were a result of black magic. George remained skeptical, but the Reverend insisted he would understand in due time. Recent incidents included a kitchen servant being attacked near the church, and a daylight abduction. Abandoned homes and a sense of fear permeated the area. The lions displayed cunning strategies, jumping onto huts and boldly attacking villages. George returned to his office, organizing a plan and calling for game scouts. However, he was called to help with a locust outbreak in the Rukwa Valley. It wasn't until January 1946 that he could resume the hunt. Dividing his team into 3, they set up trap guns with various baits and tracked rumors of recent attacks. The lions proved elusive, dispersing in smaller groups and avoiding consecutive attacks on the same village. George was growing increasingly frustrated, and he resorted to digging out pits for night surveillance. He shot at shadows, hoping for a lion but only hitting wild game. Lions' tendency to play with prey without consuming it hindered cooperation. One night, staying in an attacked village, a young girl shared valuable information. George seized the opportunity, joining them and tracking fresh lion tracks for hours through dense bushes. There, finally under the tree, they found a group of 5 lions resting. When the lions heard the rustling, they sat up, but seemed more curious than terrifying. George took aim and successfully shot the lioness. He gathered the local villagers to witness the slain lioness, and offered its skull as a trophy. He wanted to dispel the belief that these were supernatural beings. Soon after, George received news of ongoing attacks at Young Bamboo's mining village. Despite the locals' reluctance to help, he arrived and joined forces with 2 scouts. Over the next 3 days, they hunted the lions without success. Desperate for a confrontation, George finally encountered a large group of fresh tracks on the 4th day. They pursued the rear guard, and when a healthy male noticed them, the men fired simultaneously. Although unsure of which shot killed the lion, it was crucial to George that the locals understood the lions could be stopped. An emergency return to India meant that George had to leave for some time. In his absence, another man guarding the village fell victim to the lions. On his return, George hunted for 5 days without success. Then he visited a strange village with no children, and armed residents on edge due to a lion sighting. He joined a group to hunt the lion, while leaving some behind to protect the village. After a few hours, they encountered another solitary male lion. As they approached, a noise from the bushes startled them. Unlike the other lions, this one charged immediately. George fired a shot but missed, and the lion continued its advance. With the lion just 10 yards away, George fired a second shot, hitting it in the head. George informed his wife that he would stay in John Bay until he dealt with the remaining lions. There he learned that the attacks had decreased, but 19 people had been eaten in his absence. George decided to camp in the area with a scout, and visited the little girl who had helped him before. Unfortunately, the villagers informed him that the lions had arrived 4 days earlier, and the girl had been killed. There, following the fresh prints, they followed for hours, until they came across another group of lions. They formed a line and shot as many lions as possible, managing to kill 2 and wound 1 that escaped. However, their progress was interrupted when George had to leave to investigate a separate incident involving an elephant. In his absence, 3 more monitors were killed, bringing the total to 8. However, there were reports of a decrease in the number of people attacked. George examined the map and headed west. After 6 hours of searching, they returned to the village, only to learn that an attack had occurred in their absence. The lions had evaded them and taken an elderly man. Local villagers agreed to assist George in tracking the lions, including a skilled 16-year-old tracker armed with a spear. People seemed more willing to confront the lions recently. The teenage tracker proved exceptional, and they soon picked up the lion's trail. However, the dense bush and tall grass obscured their visibility. But they pressed on. Suddenly, they heard a faint noise. 5 yards ahead, a lioness lay, staring back at George. Another larger lioness approached. And as she leapt, he shot her down. George reloaded, noticing one man had fled while the younger remained. The injured lioness didn't move. But movements in the grass hinted at more lions nearby. George waited, then cautiously moved towards where the lioness fell. Suddenly, a male lion appeared just a few feet away, causing George to freeze. The lion roared, and George turned and fled. Later, following the blood trail with the boy, they found the lioness. The boy axed to stab her heart with his spear, revealing that the eaten village victim was his father. He spent several more days scouring the area, hoping to come face to face with the intimidating male that had terrified him. George came across more villagers, learning that 2 more individuals had fallen victim to the lions. George was perplexed by their exceptional hunting abilities, evasion skills, and peculiar diet. The differences between these lions and their counterparts puzzled him greatly. Villagers began to discuss foul play. Police were investigating 30 killings, and the villagers were sure that people had disguised themselves as lions. Confusion deepened as human footprints and puncture marks were discovered alongside the evidence of attacks, alongside reports of actual lion shootings in the area. It's unclear if these stories were true or mere legends. The remaining lion population seemed to have drastically decreased, with only 2 or 3 males reportedly left. Notably, the lions had confined themselves to a small area of about 15 square miles near a small village. The manager organized his game scouts into multiple teams, and, after days of searching, they discovered fresh tracks and located a pair of lions. George recognized the male as the same intimidating one from before. They shot the male and female and killed both. He believed this was the last man-eating lion and was relieved to report back to Smith. However, just before Smith's departure, he received a telegram revealing another woman had been eaten, proving him wrong. With his help again, the scouts successfully hunted down 2 female lions, bringing the total to 22 killed. The question remained: were the lions driven by a taste for humans or influenced by supernatural forces? George's descriptions and outsider perspectives left room for doubt. However, there was no evidence of external manipulation. The local village leader's reinstatement seemed fortuitous, impacting beliefs and support. Considering George's estimate of 1,500 lion kills, it may even be an underestimate given the ongoing attacks. While human activities may have driven the lions to man-eating, they had to be dealt with. It's important to note that even today an average of 250 people are killed every year by lions. It is estimated that more than 100 of these take place in Tanzania.
Legend has it that Two-Toed Tom, a colossal alligator said to have roamed the swamps near the Florida-Alabama border, achieved a near-mythical status due to his apparent invincibility against firearms and even dynamite. Dating back to the 1920s, stories of his ferocious attacks on both humans and animals earned him the chilling nickname of the Demon Gator, emerging from the earliest accounts of a massive, man-eating alligator inhabiting the vast marshlands of southern Alabama. The legend of Two-Toed Tom has evolved into something beyond a mere reptile. Named after the distinct footprints he left behind, a result of losing 3 toes in a failed spring trap, the locals came to believe that Tom's aggression and immense size were indicative of his true identity as a malevolent supernatural creature lurking in the bayou. Numerous witnesses claim that he possesses fiery red eyes and possesses the strength to effortlessly drag livestock such as cattle and horses into the murky depths. Additionally, it is rumored that he preyed upon dogs, mules, and even dared to target human victims. The earliest documented mention of Two-Toed Tom dates back to the year 1934 in the travelogue titled "Stars Fell Over Alabama," penned by Carl Kalmer, a professor at the University of Alabama. While conducting research for his publication, Kalmer learned from local residents about the existence of a colossal alligator inhabiting the nearby swamps. This awe-inspiring creature measured a staggering 15 feet in length, 4.5 meters. Although alligators were a common sight in the area, typically avoiding human interaction. Tom was an exception. Fearlessly disregarding the presence of humans, he aggressively pursued and hunted livestock, showing no concern for the traps or gunfire employed by exasperated farmers. The mere sight of glowing red eyes lurking in the water, or the distinctive tracks left by the massive gator, instilled terror in those frequenting the bayou. A substantial reward was offered to anyone capable of exterminating the beast, and numerous hunters claimed to have shot Tom, only to witness their bullets seemingly bounce off his impervious hide, before he disappeared into the murky depths. According to the locals at the time of Karma's visit, Tom had tormented the community for nearly 2 decades. One of the most well-known encounters involving this legendary creature revolves around a farmer named Pap Haynes, who owned a sizable 40-acre livestock farm. Tom was infamous for snatching and devouring dozens of Haynes animals, significantly impacting the profitability of his agricultural enterprise. Upon discovering his mule brutally dismembered and following a trail of 2-toed footprints stained with blood leading to a nearby pool, Haynes was consumed by a determination to eliminate the creature responsible. Calculating that the formidable predator would be occupied with digesting its sizable meal, Haynes devised a plan of action. Enlisting the aid of his adult sons, he proceeded to bombard the pool with 15 buckets brimming with dynamite, resulting in a cataclysmic explosion that reduced the pond and its encompassing trees to a chaotic tangle of mud and shattered wood. Every living thing in the pool was exterminated, except Tom, despite the devastation wrought by the dynamite. The men were abruptly startled by tumultuous thrashing and anguished cries emanating from a neighboring pool. Seizing their rifles, they hastened to conclude the task of exterminating the beast, only to be confronted with a heart-wrenching sight. Haynes's 12-year-old granddaughter lay disemboweled by the water's edge. Speculation circulated among the locals, suggesting that the young girl had been enticed from the safety of her home by the clamor of explosions, only to fall prey to Tom during her ill-fated journey. Consumed by an insatiable thirst for vengeance, Haynes dedicated the remainder of his days to relentlessly pursuing the alligator, even as many of his kin and neighbors departed in search of better fortunes elsewhere. It is said that he passed away as a bitter and solitary old man, forever marked by his fruitless quest. Following Haynes' relentless pursuit, it appears that stories of 2-toed Tom migrated from Alabama to northwestern Florida, where he began to frequent the waters of the Choctawhatchee River. Local residents who caught glimpses of him sunning himself on the riverbank estimated his size to be an astonishing and seemingly implausible 25 feet, 7.5 meters. Additional accounts surfaced recounting futile attempts to subdue him with firearms. As time passed, sightings of the colossal alligator became increasingly scarce, leading to the assumption that he had succumbed to the ravages of old age. However, rumors of his continued existence persisted and gained momentum over 6 decades after the initial records of his presence. In the mid-1980s, an alligator path, an indentation formed by a creature repeatedly dragging itself into and out of the water at the same spot, was discovered on Boynton Island, nestled deep within the Florida Bayou east of Pensacola. The size of the path suggested the presence of an exceptionally large and weighty individual, while the footprints along the trail exhibited the distinctive markings of an alligator with only 2 toes. This finding reignited speculation that Tom was alive and thriving, leading to several unsuccessful hunting endeavors. Since then, sporadic sightings continued to be reported, sustaining the belief that the infamous demon gator still roams the haunting depths of the swamps. Like many folklore tales, the stories surrounding 2-toed Tom seem to have a foundation of truth. Although there is limited written evidence, the claims made, especially during the early period of his alleged reign of terror, are not entirely fantastical. Alligators, like many species, possess a reflective membrane called the tapetum lucidum at the back of their eyes, which enhances their vision in low-light conditions by reflecting light back into the iris. When a light is shone upon them in the darkness, their eyes can give off a reddish glow. Initial estimations of his size, around 15 feet, fall within the known range for a particularly large American alligator. Moreover, the duration of regularly reported sightings aligns with the recorded potential lifespan of alligators, which can exceed 50 years. However, as the reports progress, They appear to venture further into the realm of fantasy or embellishment. Where did the demon gator go?
The bear, with its contrasting qualities, can evoke a sense of cuteness and cuddliness, while also embodying the essence of a formidable and powerful beast. It is important not to forget that these animals are highly efficient predators. With their immense size and impressive land speed, they can be likened to tanks. Thankfully, unprovoked bear attacks on humans are not common. However, in 1915, a small village in Japan experienced a truly horrifying encounter with an enormous, terrifying bear, a creature that could rival even the most sinister of serial killers. This event is known as the Sankabetsu brown bear incident. From December 9 to 15, 1915, amidst the dawn of the Taisho era, a relentless Usuri brown bear unleashed a reign of terror, targeting unsuspecting households, with a staggering toll of 9 lives lost and 3 others wounded. This gruesome episode has earned the infamous title, the worst animal attack in Japanese history. In the dim light of a mid-November morning in 1915, an Usuri brown bear appeared near the Ikeda family's dwelling in Sankabetsu Rokusen Sawa, nestled 11 kilometers inland from Hokkaido's western shoreline. Startled by the sudden encounter, their horse whinnied in alarm, but the bear hastily retreated, having only snatched some harvested corn. In this nascent settlement, such encounters with wildlife were a common occurrence. On November 20, 1915, the bear re-emerged, prompting the head of the Ikeda family to worry about their horse's safety. Seeking assistance, he summoned his second son, Kamataro, along with 2 skilled hunters, or matagi, from their village and a neighboring one, though they took aim at the bear when it appeared again. On November 30th, their shots failed to bring it down. Undeterred, the following morning, they traced the bear's tracks, which led them towards the formidable Mount Onishika. Along the treacherous path, the hunting party stumbled upon telltale bloodstains. Yet, a fierce snowstorm forced them to retreat, speculating that the wounded bear would no longer pose a threat to the settlements. In the morning of December 9, 1915, around 10:30 a.m., the enormous brown bear made its way to the Oda family's residence. Inside the house were Abe Mayu, the farmer's wife, and baby Hisumi Mikio, whom Mayu was looking after. Tragically, the bear attacked Mikio, biting him on the head and claiming his life. Mayu valiantly fought back, using firewood as her weapon, and attempted to flee. However, the bear caught up with her. Knocking her down and dragging her into the dense imperial forest of Sankabetsu. Witness accounts vividly described a gruesome scene, akin to a slaughterhouse, with blood staining the farmhouse floor. Early in the morning, on December 10, Saito Ishiguro and Mayoki Yasutaro left the village on errands. Meanwhile, a 30-man search party was organized to capture the brown bear and recover the remains of Mayu. Entering the forest, no more than 150 meters, 160 yards, it met the bear. 5 men shot, but only one managed to land a hit. The enraged animal retreated, and the men escaped injury. After the bear fled, the hunters scouted the area and discovered dried blood on the snow at the base of a sakhaline fir tree. Beneath the snow was the corpse of Mayu, with only the head and parts of the legs remaining. The bear had stashed the body of Mayu in the snow, in an attempt to preserve it, as well as to hide it from scavengers. Proof it was this brown bear in the attack, as the villagers firmly believed that the bear, once having tasted human flesh, would inevitably return to the settlement. They gathered at the Oda family's farm armed with guns. Around 8 p.m. that fateful night, their fears materialized as the bear made its reappearance. Despite their preparedness, panic swept through the crowd. Amidst the chaos, one brave individual managed to take a shot at the bear. However, by the time the corps of 50 guardsmen, stationed approximately 300 meters away, at the neighboring Mayok house reached the scene, The bear had vanished into the dense woods. The corps swiftly regrouped and embarked downstream, following what they believed to be the trail of the elusive predator. Upon receiving news of the Oda family's horrifying attack, the Miyuka family swiftly opened their doors to provide refuge for frightened women and children, while guardsmen took up their posts outside. As the guardsmen sat down for dinner, word arrived that the bear had returned to the Oda farm, prompting them to march off in haste. Unbeknownst to them, the bear, having narrowly escaped death at the Oda residence, now sought refuge at the Miyuka homestead. Yeo, the wife of Miyuka Yasutaro, was in the midst of preparing a late meal, with her fourth son, Umekichi, secured on her back. Suddenly, a rumbling noise caught her attention. But before she could investigate, the bear burst through a window, invading their sanctuary. In the chaos that ensued, the cooking pot toppled over, extinguishing the flames, while the oil lamp flickered out, plunging the house into impenetrable darkness. Yeo desperately attempted to flee, but her second son, Yuhiro, clung to her legs, causing her to stumble in her escape. It was in this moment of terror that the bear launched its ferocious attack, biting Umekichi and inflicting unimaginable horror upon the family. Odo had chosen to remain at the house as the sole bodyguard. When he made a dash for the door, the bear let go of the mother and child it had been pursuing, and went after him. Seizing the opportunity, Yeo managed to escape with her children. Odo tried to find shelter behind the furniture, but the bear clawed him in the back. The ferocious animal then attacked and fatally wounded Kinzo, the third son of the Miyuka family, as well as Haruyoshi, the fourth son of the Saito family. Awao, the third son of the Saito family, was also bitten by the bear. The next target was Take, Saito Ishigoro's pregnant wife. She, too, was brutally attacked, killed, and devoured. According to later testimonies, villagers heard Take pleading with the bear not to harm her belly, but to consume her head instead. The guardsmen who had been tracking the bear downstream realized that they had lost its trail. They hastened back to the settlement, when they encountered a severely injured Yeo, who informed them about the attack at the Miyuka family's residence. The team of guardsmen rushed to the scene in an attempt to rescue any survivors. Upon their arrival, they found the house engulfed in darkness, but they could hear sounds of a violent encounter. Assuming that the bear had claimed the lives of everyone inside, some of the guardsmen proposed setting the house on fire. However, Yeo, still hoping that some of the children might have survived, vehemently opposed this idea. The guardsmen were split into two teams. One consisting of 10 men positioned themselves at the front door, while the other group went around to the back of the house. Upon receiving a signal, the team at the rear commenced a commotion, shouting and clattering their weapons. As anticipated, the bear emerged at the front entrance. Unfortunately, the men had formed a congested group, obstructing their lines of fire, and the leader of that group had a malfunctioning rifle. In the midst of the ensuing chaos, and the danger of friendly fire, the bear managed to slip away into the darkness, carrying torches crafted from birch bark. They ventured into the house, and witnessed the aftermath of the attack. Rikizo and Hisano, siblings and the eldest children of the same family, sustained injuries but survived. The villagers gathered at the school, while those severely wounded were taken to the Tsuji family's residence near the river. Following the incident, only veterans of the Russo-Japanese War remained stationed at their respective posts. In the meantime, Saito Ishiguro, completely unaware of the tragic fate that had befallen his family, proceeded to file a report with the authorities and the local police district. Afterward, he returned to Tomakomai and sought accommodation at a nearby hotel. Upon hearing about a certain man named Yamamoto Heikichi, renowned for his expertise in hunting bears, Miyuka Yasutaro decided to pay him a visit. Yamamoto, however, had reached a point where he had pawned his gun to obtain money for alcohol. Despite being aware of Yamamoto's reputation, he declined Myoke's plea for assistance. Consequently, Yasutaro found himself unable to return home, and ended up staying in Onishika. On December 11, Myoke Yasutaro and Saito Ishiguro made their return to Sankabetsu. They noticed the gathering of villagers at the branch school, and, piece by piece, learned about the horrifying mauling incident. A group, including Mayok and Saito, was formed with the intention of hunting down the bear. Convinced that the bear would reappear, they decided to wait for it at Mayok's residence. However, the night passed without any sign of an attack. Word of the bear's presence in Sankabetsu reached the Hokkaido government office, prompting the organization of a sniper team. Under the guidance of the Hoburo branch police station, guns and volunteers were gathered from nearby towns. And after obtaining permission from the Tashitsu Rinya Kyoku, the team set off for Sankabetsu that evening. Chief Inspector Shuga, the commissioner of the branch office, ascended the Rokusen Sawa to observe the Mayok family house and assess the state of the sniper team, meeting with all those who arrived from the mountain pass. However, on December 12, the brown bear did not make an appearance. It was concluded that the bear was likely to return to retrieve the bodies of its victims. But upon inspection, no remains were found at the Mayok family house. Consequently, a new plan was proposed to lure out the bear using the corpse of one of its victims. The plan faced significant criticism, particularly from the Oda, Saito, and Mayok families. However, it was ultimately determined that, in the best interest of the village's future, this plan should be pursued. Without delay, the strategy was put into action. The team of 6 snipers, now joined by Yamamoto Heikichi, positioned themselves inside the house and waited. However, the bear halted momentarily, seemingly inspecting the interior of the house, before retreating back into the forest. It did not reappear throughout the night, resulting in the failure of the plan. At daybreak, on the 13th of December, a search team made a disheartening discovery. The Oda family's house had been ravaged. The bear had devoured their winter food supplies and left a trail of destruction in multiple houses. Despite the efforts, the bear remained elusive, and its whereabouts remained unknown. To boost morale, Shuga, the police captain, provided encouragement from the village outskirts. With a force of 60 armed men now assembled, it was decided that they should embark on a hunting expedition in the surrounding mountains. Kesagaki, seemingly devoid of caution, expanded its territory downstream. Recognizing the escalating danger, Police Captain Shuga took preventive measures by constructing an ice bridge as a defensive line. Snipers and guards were positioned accordingly. During the night, a sniper stationed at the bridge believed they saw something amidst the shadows of the tree stumps on the opposite shore. The shadow, possibly that of the bear, vanished into the forest. Although disappointed by their failure to kill the bear, the captain believed he had heard some form of reaction from the elusive creature. The following morning, a team ventured to the opposite shore and discovered a bear's footprint along with traces of blood. Recognizing that Kesagaki had sustained further injuries, and with impending snowstorms that could obscure any remaining tracks, it was deemed a critical opportunity to hunt down and eliminate the bear. Without delay, Yamamoto and Ikeda Kamehiro, a skilled guide, set off in pursuit of the bear. Yamamoto opted for a smaller team of 2, as it would allow for greater speed and agility. Leveraging his knowledge of Kasagake's behavior, Yamamoto successfully tracked down the bear. He located the creature resting near a Japanese oak tree, closing in to a distance of 20 meters. Yamamoto took aim and fired. The first shot struck the bear's heart, followed by a second shot to its head, inflicting fatal wounds upon the animal. With the bear finally defeated, a surge of victorious cries erupted from the Avengers. This jubilant scene was reported in several newspapers. Upon measurement, the bear was found to weigh 340 kilograms, 750 pounds, and stood at a height of 2.7 meters, 8.9 feet. Estimated to be around 7-8 years old. A necropsy was conducted on the bear, revealing remnants of its victims in its stomach. Although the skull and some fur of the bear were initially retained, they were unfortunately lost over time. Yeo, who sustained head injuries in the attack, fully recovered. However, Mayok Umekichi, who was bitten by the bear while being carried on his mother's back, tragically succumbed to his wounds less than 3 years later. Odo, after recovering from his injuries, resumed his work. However, the following spring, he met with a fatal accident and drowned in a river. In the aftermath of the attack, most of the residents of Rokusan Sawa quickly departed, and the village soon became a deserted place until 1946. It was then revitalized by the arrival of 6 families from Osaka, seeking to rebuild after the war. Okawa Haruyoshi, who was 6 years old at the time of the incident, and the third son of the mayor of Sankabetsu village, Okawa Yosakichi, grew up to become a renowned bear hunter. He took an oath to avenge the victims of the attack by killing 10 bears for each one of them. By the time he reached 62 years of age, he had successfully hunted down 102 bears. Upon retiring, he erected the Bear Harm Cenotaph, a shrine where people can pray for the souls of the deceased villagers.
Over a century has passed since the 12 days of deadly encounters with a killer shark, and the memory of the carnage still haunts the waters. In 1960, the Jersey Shore experienced a series of terrifying shark attacks within 12 days, resulting in 5 incidents, 4 of which were fatal. These attacks stand as some of the most horrific and chilling shark encounters in American history. They left lasting scars on the community. Between 1926 and 1931, a series of tragic shark attacks took place, involving 16 or 17 victims. During this time, people faced not only the concern of these attacks but also the dilemma of how to spend their leisure time outdoors. Despite the possibility of getting drenched by the ocean's waves, the seaside remained an attractive destination with its unique offerings for each town's visitors. Prior to the 1920s, beachgoers primarily engaged in activities such as strolling along boardwalks, shopping, and sunbathing, limiting their interaction with the water. However, by 1916, swimming in the ocean had become the latest craze, fueled by the nation's increasing prosperity and shorter work hours, leading to a surge in recreational time. The Jersey Shore became a beloved vacation spot, drawing crowds from metropolitan areas like New York City and Philadelphia, as well as the regions in between. During the summer of 1960, as scorching temperatures prevailed, droves of people flocked to the shore seeking respite. Unbeknownst to them, a man-eating monster lurked along the coast, awaiting their arrival and the chaos that would unfold between July 1st and July 12th. These events would later become legendary, serving as the terrifying inspiration for movies like Jaws, and capturing the imagination with tales of fabled attacks. On July 1, 1960, an unsettling incident unfolded in a quaint resort town located at the southernmost point of Long Beach Island. Charles Manson, a 28-year-old financial broker from Philadelphia, was enjoying a family vacation at the Angleside Hotel. Venturing into the ocean for a refreshing swim, he suddenly cried out in distress as a shark sank its teeth into his legs. Despite the swift action of a vigilant lifeguard who rescued him, it was tragically too late to save him. He had been horrifically torn to the bone. Charles succumbed to his injuries shortly after the attack, as life-saving medical treatment was not promptly available. The public's initial reaction to the incident was dismissive, failing to deter vacationers from entering the ocean. At that time, sharks were generally perceived as harmless creatures, and most people believed that Charles's attack was an isolated occurrence. Some even speculated that he may have been an unintended target of the shark's aggression. However, it soon became evident that this was not an isolated incident. On July 6, 1960, another shocking attack took place in Spring Lake, a seaside town situated 45 miles north of the previous incident. Charles Berger, a 27-year-old employee of the beachside Essex and Sussex Hotel, fell victim to a vicious shark assault while swimming approximately 130 yards offshore. The water turned crimson as lifeguards hastened to mobilize a lifeboat, struggling to hoist Charles from the water, only to find that his body felt lighter than anticipated. The lifeguards acted swiftly, realizing the severity of the situation. Charles Berger's injuries were far more extensive than initially thought. His knees were shattered, and his abdomen had sustained severe damage from the shark's attack. It was evident that this was not an encounter to be taken lightly. Another shark had made its presence known, and the news of these attacks triggered a wave of shark hysteria across the nation. The third and fourth fatal attacks occurred on July 12, 1960, approximately 30 miles north of Spring Lake. The Jersey Shore was engulfed in a dark cloud of terror. These attacks took place in an unexpected location, freshwater. The idea of man-eating sharks was already unsettling, but the notion of sharks entering freshwater and attacking humans was simply unthinkable. Initially, a resident fishing from a bridge claimed to have spotted the silhouette of an 8-foot-long shark passing beneath. However, the claim was dismissed, as such sightings were rare and unheard of. Meanwhile, a group of children was playing in a creek located 11 miles upstream. As the afternoon unfolded, the ominous black silhouette seen earlier reappeared near the boys. Dorsal fins rose from the water as the shark swiftly pulled young Lester Stillwell, who was only 11 years old, beneath the surface. The boys raced to the bank, seeking help. Businessman Watson Fisher, aged 24, arrived at the scene after the boys had sought assistance. Without hesitation, Fisher dove into the creek and located Stillwell's lifeless body. Determined, he began carrying Stillwell toward the shore, all while the shark lingered nearby. A group of fishermen gathered on the bank as a crowd watched. Suddenly, bodies began to fall from the water, creating a chaotic scene. By the time Fisher reached the bank, he was badly injured on his right side from the attack. Despite the danger, Fisher managed to rise above the bodies and was eventually found the next day. This was the fifth attack on July 12, 1960. On the same day, 3 more fatalities occurred along the creek. Joseph Dunn, a 14-year-old boy, was also attacked by a shark while swimming half a mile away from Fisher. He suffered injuries to his left leg. The attack happened within 30 minutes of the third and fourth shark attacks. The incident drew attention from the media and society, sparking a hunt for the sharks. In an attempt to kill the culprit, dynamite was used by a mob of fearful citizens. Even sharks, once considered harmless, were now viewed as hated killers and deemed public enemy number 1. An almost 8-foot, 325-pound great white shark was caught in Raritan Bay near Matalan Creek on July 16. The shark's stomach was cut open, revealing human remains. After the capture of the great white, no further attacks occurred along the shore during the summer of 1960. The case was then considered closed. There were no further attacks in 1916, but the theory that the great white shark was solely responsible raises concerns. Great whites are not known to venture far into freshwater, if at all. Although some biologists argue that a small great white could survive in the brackish waters of Matalan Creek, they generally avoid such environments. As a result, theories have emerged suggesting the involvement of more than one shark in the 1916 attacks. Another potential culprit is the bull shark, which is capable of thriving in freshwater. On September 21, 1970, the location was Seabright, New Jersey, just 1 year after the most infamous series of shark attacks in American history. Seabright is a beach town situated between Matalan Creek and Spring Lake on the Jersey shore. Newman, the head lifeguard of the secret beach club, was responsible for scanning the area and overseeing 3 other lifeguards. The club had a strict no-alcohol policy, as it was prohibited in New Jersey. Suddenly, Newman noticed shark fins emerging from the water, causing panic among the lifeguards and beachgoers. They quickly rushed ashore as the shark continued to swim freely. The beach's rough surf made it challenging for lifeguard Daniel Thompson to ride the wave to safety, causing him to lag behind the others. Reportedly, the shark attacked and injured a swimmer named Mark, who was fortunately saved by lifeguards in close proximity. However, the shark was never found or identified. This raises the question of whether this shark was one of the culprits from the 1960 attacks. It's important to note that sharks can live up to 6 years, so it is plausible that another predator might return to the Jersey shore. Fast forward to August 23, 1926, when another major incident occurred in Seaside Heights, NJ. This happened during a time of great prosperity and rapid technological advancements in the United States, as the country embraced the modern age. By 1926, automobiles, radio, and motion pictures had become commonplace, giving Americans a sense of wealth and leading to a decrease in working hours. The enthusiasm within the United States was in stark contrast to the dark cloud of the past, with the memory of the 1915 shark attacks nearly fading from some people's minds. As individuals flocked to the Jersey shore for Sunday relaxation, countless numbers of them engaged in carefree beach activities and swimming. Seaside Heights, NJ, emerged as a popular resort destination, located just 15 miles from both Spring Lake and Sebring. This lively beach town boasted a beautiful beach, a bustling boardwalk, and numerous shops and restaurants. The main attraction, of course, was the ocean itself, which attracted crowds until August 23 that year. On that fateful day, Charles, an 18-year-old from Trenton, New Jersey, was enjoying a visit to Seaside Heights with his family and friends. The hot weather and refreshing ocean breezes enticed Charles and his friends to play and swim near the beach, north of the carousel. Several other shark sightings were reported around the same time, but the sharks remained unidentified. In July of that year, fishermen in the Delaware Basin near the Seacoast 45 neighborhood encountered a charged and conflicted atmosphere. On July 31, 1926, in Manson Quad, New Jersey, shortly after the previous attacks, numerous sharks were again reported near Seaside Heights and Seabright, New Jersey. News reports depicted them frolicking, raising questions about their behavior and whether they were hammerheads from a particular school. However, even if they were hammerheads, they might have been attempting to defend themselves. Finally, on September 25, 1926, in Ocean City, MD, located south of New Jersey, a 14-foot shark was observed close to the shore. So, which species of shark or sharks were likely responsible for the terror experienced in 1916, 1917, and 1926? Sharks, being apex predators, are designed to inflict vicious attacks on their prey. With over 350 different species of sharks, only a few can be considered prime suspects. The most notorious and likely culprits are the great white sharks. Just the mention of the words, great white shark, sends shivers down the spines of many. They are well known for their responsibility in numerous human attacks and are regarded as one of the most formidable and dangerous predators in the ocean. Great white sharks can grow as large as 21 feet and swim up to speeds of 60 miles per hour. They possess 85% of their body weight in muscle and have around 300 rows of razor-sharp teeth. Scientists estimate their bite force to be around 4,000 pounds per square inch. Tiger sharks, named for the vertical stripes on their bodies, are the second most common sharks involved in human attacks. They are the fourth largest sharks and the second largest predatory sharks in the ocean. A fully grown tiger shark can weigh up to 2,000 pounds. The bull shark, ranking as the third most dangerous shark, is known for its aggression. It is the only man-eating shark capable of surviving in both freshwater and saltwater. Bull sharks have been found as far as 500 miles up the Mississippi River in Illinois. They have a stocky body, wide snout, and a reputation for being fierce. Growing up to 11 feet long and weighing as much as 500 pounds, bull sharks are responsible for numerous attacks in freshwater. In the United States alone, there are approximately 20 unprovoked shark attacks reported each year, occurring along almost every coastal state. However, they should not attract attention like the ones in New Jersey between 1916 and 1926. In fact, I have only encountered 10 non-fatal incidents involving those shortcuts through the trees in nearly a century. Somewhere within this area of short plantations, evidence suggests that another surge occurred shortly after in July 1960. Although we may have forgotten about the tragedy in New Jersey, the victims of 1917 and 1926 should never be overlooked. It is possible that the culprits from all 3 years were extremely deranged. The fascination with shark sightings will undoubtedly remain a popular pastime, as long as we ensure water safety.
Their appearance is undeniably adorable. With their fluffy coats and charming demeanor. Yet they stand as the most lethal bears ever encountered by humankind. The sloth bear's preference for termites, honey, and fruit may camouflage its ferocious nature and formidable canines, rendering it one of the most menacing predators on the Indian subcontinent. Unfortunately, due to the vast human population inhabiting most of its range and its aggressive temperament, attacks on humans by these bears are all too frequent. Sloth bear attacks are more prevalent than those by feared species like tigers and leopards when non-fatal incidents are taken into account. In fact, the annual number of fatal sloth bear attacks in a single Indian province surpasses the average global count of such attacks by brown bears. It is important to note that these attacks are generally defensive in nature rather than predatory. Nonetheless, there is one particular sloth bear known as the sloth bear of Mysore that has gained notoriety for being one of the most prolific man-eating bears ever recorded, responsible for claiming the lives of at least 12 individuals. Sloth bears possess long, shaggy fur, particularly around their faces, and boast elongated sickle-shaped claws. Their fur is predominantly black, although some specimens exhibit a rusty hue, and they may have a whitish wire V-shaped mark on their chests. Unlike other bears, sloth bears lack an undercoat, which helps keep them cool in tropical climates and shields them from insects. Generally, sloth bears are solitary creatures, although they are occasionally spotted in pairs. They are primarily nocturnal, although females become more active during the daytime when accompanied by their cubs. Sloth bears do not hibernate. Instead, they create their resting spots using broken branches and trees, and seek refuge in caves during the wet season. They ascend trees both to feed and to rest, although they prefer to stand their ground rather than flee from adversaries. In 1957, there was an exceptionally aggressive Indian sloth bear known as the sloth bear of Mysore. This bear was responsible for the deaths of at least 12 people and the mauling of 24 others. While cases of bear attacks on humans were not uncommon in India, this particular individual exhibited a unique behavior of consuming its victims. Some accounts surrounding this bear sound like typical legends and folklore. One story suggests that a male sloth bear abducted a girl, considering her as its chosen one. However, the girl was ultimately rescued by the residents of Mysore, one of India's largest cities. According to this tale, subsequent attacks on humans were believed to be acts of revenge for the girl's escape. Another version, which holds more plausibility, proposes that the dangerous bear was actually a female whose cubs had been killed by humans. Both narratives share a common theme, a desire for revenge. Interestingly, sloth bears are not large creatures, with the largest males weighing between 80 and 192 kilograms, and females ranging from 55 to 124 kilograms. Considering the destructive capabilities of these relatively small sloth bears, one can only imagine the devastation that could be caused by grizzly bears or Kodiak bears. The initial recorded incidents occurred in 1957 within the Nagavara Hills, located approximately 100 miles away from Bangalore. Inhabiting the elevated terrain scattered with boulders, the bear would descend during the evening to search for food in the farmlands below. Upon encountering humans, its aggression would escalate significantly, often targeting the victim's face during attacks. The sloth bear's large claws led to cases where the face was completely ripped off the skull. In the rare instances where victims survived the attacks, they suffered the loss of their eyes, noses, or cheeks due to the bear's claws and teeth. As time went on, the bear grew increasingly audacious, descending during both daytime and nighttime hours. The bear initiated its onslaught in the Nagavara Hills, located east of the town of our security, approximately 105 miles northwest of Bangalore in Mysore state. It established its territory amidst the myriad of boulder-strewn hill slopes, allowing it to descend and forage in the fields. As its audacity grew, the bear began to harass people during both daylight and nighttime hours, employing the typical sloth bear approach of targeting the victims' faces with its claws and teeth. Survivors of these attacks often endured the loss of one or both eyes, some having their noses severely bitten, while others suffered through cheek lacerations. Tragically, those who perished had their faces brutally torn from their heads, with at least 3 victims partially consumed. The bear's depredations initially came to the attention of Kenneth Anderson when a distressed elderly acquaintance named Alan Buck urgently sent him a postcard, beseeching his presence at his residence, a shrine situated between our security and Shimoga. Buck's 22-year-old son had fallen victim to the bear, meeting a fatal mauling at 9 p.m., unintentionally disturbing the bear while it was feasting on fallen figs. Without anticipating the arduousness of the hunt, Anderson arrived ill-prepared for an extended expedition. Armed with only an electric torch, a 405 Winchester rifle, and a solitary change of clothes, he had underestimated the demands of the task at hand. Arriving at the shrine in the early evening, Anderson devised a plan to wait until darkness fell before attempting to shoot the bear. Commencing his search in the vicinity of the fig trees, he traversed 1.5 miles without catching sight of the elusive creature. Undeterred, he proceeded to scour the groundnut fields, but his efforts proved fruitless. Eventually, Anderson reluctantly returned to the shrine, having exhausted his immediate options. Determined to succeed, he embarked on 2 subsequent nocturnal expeditions, both without success. By noon the following day, Anderson was led to what was believed to be the bear's den. After hurling stones into the crevice, yielding no response, he made the decision to return to Bangalore, urging Buck to promptly notify him via telegram should the bear launch another attack. A month later, tragedy struck in the small town of Sakrapadna, nestled between Shipmacular and Onkador, as 2 woodcutters fell victim to the bear, suffering severe mauling, with one of them tragically succumbing to their injuries. Lee Anderson received a summons from the district forest officer of Chikmagalur, urging him to come and eliminate the bear. Seeking more specific information about the bear's whereabouts, Anderson requested precise coordinates. It took 10 days to receive a response, stating that the bear resided in a hill loch situated approximately 3 miles from the town, adjacent to a footpath leading to a lake known as Iron Gear. Additionally, it was disclosed that the bear had recently attacked a forest guard during a routine patrol. With this information in hand, Anderson departed for Chikmagalur, establishing his base of operations in a small house owned by the Mysore Forest Department. The following afternoon, at around 4:30, a man rushed to the bungalow, informing Anderson that the bear had mauled his brother, a cattle grazer, near the hill where the bear was believed to have its lair. Equipped with a rifle, a torch, and the assistance of 3 or 4 helpers, Anderson embarked on a journey into the jungle, covering a distance of 6 miles. After 1.5 hours, they encountered a densely overgrown hill. However, the helpers refused to proceed any further, and Anderson continued on his own, relying on the general directions provided by the victim's brother regarding the location of the attacks. After an extensive search amidst the dense foliage, Anderson's ears caught the faint moans of the victim. He discovered the man lying unconscious and horrifically mutilated at the base of a tree. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, as the man's life hung by a thread, Anderson carried him a short distance. However, His efforts were cut short when he sprained his ankle and collapsed in agony. Tragically, the victim succumbed to his injuries at 5 o'clock in the morning. Forest officials and a group of villagers later discovered Anderson, and he was promptly hospitalized in Chikmagalur for a week to recover. Upon his return to the hunt, Anderson learned that, in his absence, the bear had attacked 2 men along the Iron-Clear leg path. Arriving at Sakrapatna, he was informed that the bear had developed a habit of frequenting fields adorned with borum trees, located a mile from the village. Positioned at the site from 5 p.m., Anderson spent the night stationed at the foot of the largest tree, hoping that the bear would make its appearance around 11 p.m. As the hours ticked by, Anderson heard the bear digging for roots in the distance. An hour later, the bear approached the borum tree, prompting Anderson to shine his torch upon it. Startled, the bear rose up on its hind legs in alarm. Seizing the opportunity, Anderson swiftly fired a shot into the bear's chest, bringing an end to the arduous pursuit, ending the bear's reign of terror. If you enjoyed this story, please remember to like, subscribe, and share it with you.
During the years 1765 to 1767, a mysterious entity wreaked havoc in a rural area of France, claiming the lives of more than 100 individuals and captivating the attention of a terrified global audience. From 1764 to 1767, the idyllic countryside of Gévaudan, France, was terrorized by an enigmatic creature known as the Beast. Approximately 100 individuals spanning across different ages and genders reportedly succumbed to the wrath of La Bête du Gévaudan, while the prevailing belief among contemporaries was that the beast was a wolf, a notion shared by many present-day scholars. Alternative theories have emerged, suggesting that the true identity of the beast may not have been canine in nature. Thus, the question remains, what truly lurked behind the horrifying attacks? The first documented fatal encounter with the beast took place on June 30th, 1764, as 14-year-old shepherdess Jeanne Boulet tended to her flock of sheep. However, Boulet was not the creature's first target. Historians suggest that approximately 2 months earlier, a young woman caring for cattle had an encounter with a creature that resembled a wolf, yet possessed unique characteristics, ultimately managing to escape unharmed thanks to the protective response of the herd. The onslaught persisted throughout the summer and extended into the autumn months. The nation faced defeats against Prussia and the British, accompanied by the loss of overseas colonies under the reign of Louis XV. In such a climate of despair, the beast presented itself as an ideal scapegoat to unite the populace, and the press eagerly disseminated numerous accounts of harrowing encounters with this enigmatic creature. The ferocious beast, known as the Bête Féroce, targeted women and the young as reported, but even lone adult men fell victim to its attacks. The frequency of these incidents led to speculations that there might be multiple beasts roaming the area. The terrified population of Gévaudan refused to remain passive, and tales of individual acts of courage gripped the public's imagination. As recounted by Smith, bounties were offered and hunters tirelessly scoured the countryside in search of the elusive creature. On October 8, 1764, shortly after a brutal assault, the beast was sighted at Château de la Baume stalking a herdsman. The hunters pursued the animal into the woods of the estate and forced it out into the open. Firing a volley of musket shots, the hunters managed to bring the creature down momentarily, but to their astonishment, it quickly rose to its feet and made a hasty retreat. Even the young were hailed as heroes for confronting the beast. On January 12, 1765, the creature targeted 10-year-old Jacques Portefeuille and a group of his 7 friends, aged between 8 and 12. However, Portefeuille fearlessly led a counterattack, armed with nothing more than sticks, and successfully repelled the menacing creature. In recognition of their bravery, King Louis XV personally rewarded the children, and Portefeuille was granted an education funded by the crown. The courageous acts of the children caught the attention of the royal court, prompting King Louis XIV to dispatch his own hunters with the mission to eliminate the beast. A substantial bounty of 6,000 livres was now placed on the creature's head. Meanwhile, the tale of the beast began to spread far and wide, making headlines in newspapers from Boston to Brussels, establishing itself as one of history's earliest media sensations. The villagers could have easily brushed off these occurrences as typical for sheep herding, recognizing its inherent dangers and the presence of predators. However, on August 8th, another girl met a tragic fate. In her final moments, she vividly depicted the creature responsible as a terrifying beast. Among the remarkable accounts of valor, one particularly noteworthy incident involved Marie-Jeanne Vallée, aged 19 or 20, who was attacked by the beast on August 11, 1765, while crossing the river Deja with her sister. Armed with a bayonet attached to a pole, Vallée bravely impaled the creature's chest. Although the beast managed to escape, Vallée gained fame as the Amazon and the Maid of Gévaudan. On September 20, 1765, François-Antoine, the 71-year-old gun-bearer in service of the king, together with his nephew, successfully shot down a large wolf near the abbey at Chazé, which was widely believed to be the infamous beast. In recognition of his feat, Antoine received monetary rewards, titles, and the preserved body of the animal was sent to the royal court. However, the attacks resumed in December. This time, there appeared to be notable differences in the behavior of the beast. Unlike before, when the creature displayed fear towards cattle, it now exhibited no such hesitation. This raised suspicions that there might be a second beast at large. Despite these new attacks, the royal court chose to dismiss them, maintaining that Antoine had successfully slain the creature. However, a sudden surge in attacks in early June 1767 compelled a local nobleman, the Marquis d'Apcher, to organize a hunt. On June 19th, during the hunt, a local man named Jean Chastel shot a wolf on the slopes of Mount Mouchet. An autopsy of the animal exposed traces of human remains, and witnesses described non-wolf-like characteristics. The attacks subsequently ceased, leading many to believe that Chastel had indeed taken down the beast. Nevertheless, doubts persisted regarding whether the creature Chastel had killed was truly a wolf. Eyewitness accounts consistently portrayed the beast as an entity distinct from the ordinary wolf. It possessed a size comparable to that of a calf, and at times even as large as a horse. Its reddish-grey fur was complemented by a robust panther-like tail, while its head and legs bore short hair akin to that of a deer. A distinguishing feature was a dark stripe gracing its back, coupled with talons adorning its feet. Although numerous contemporary depictions endowed the beast with lupine characteristics, its physical attributes deviated from the typical wolf. According to witnesses, the beast exhibited the behavior of an ambush hunter, stealthily stalking its prey before swiftly seizing it by the throat. The inflicted wounds predominantly targeted the head and limbs, with reports of 16 victims having been tragically decapitated. The creature predominantly prowled during the evenings and in the early mornings, heightening the sense of terror among the populace. Throughout history, various individuals, including historians, scientists, pseudoscientists, and conspiracy theorists, have put forth a multitude of theories regarding the true identity of the beast. Among the suspects considered are the Eurasian wolf, an armored war dog, a striped hyena, a lion, a prehistoric predator, a werewolf, a dog-wolf hybrid, and even a human. Among these theories, the notion of the beast being a werewolf stands out as particularly fanciful and fantastical. Similarly unrealistic is the idea that the creature was an extinct prehistoric predator such as a bear dog, direwolf, or hyenodon. Historian Smith argues that the concept of such a large creature managing to elude detection for thousands or even millions of years is highly implausible. Another theory put forth is that a human serial killer may have been responsible for the attacks. This hypothesis is based on the fact that many of the beast's victims were reportedly decapitated, a feat that few animals are capable of. While it may seem unlikely for a killer to roam openly in broad daylight while wearing a bestial disguise, proponents of this theory believe that the human perpetrator employed an animal accomplice to carry out the crimes. As for the identity of the animal, some have speculated that it could have been an armored war dog, which would explain the creature's peculiar appearance, and its apparent resistance to musket shots. One theory that holds particular merit is that wolves were responsible for the attacks. Historian Smith notes that Gevaudan had a significant wolf infestation, speculating that either large lone wolves were attacking individual communities throughout the region, or that it was a wolf pack. Wolves are indigenous to the area and had previously attacked humans, with some statistical data indicating that wolves had attacked humans roughly 9,000 times in France during the 17th to 19th centuries. In most cases, these attacks were conducted by rabid wolves. However, there are some potential flaws to the wolf theory. For instance, the frequency of the beast's lethal attacks suggests that it was not a single rabid wolf. Additionally, none of the victims exhibited signs of contracting rabies, suggesting that their attacker may not have been carrying the disease. Despite the existence of multiple compelling theories regarding the identity of the beast of Gevaudan, all concede that the truth may never be fully determined. Without any genetic or forensic evidence, the beast of Gevaudan is destined to forever remain an enigma.
They are perhaps the world's most notorious wild lions. 135 victims. Brutal barbaric killings. There are the infamous Tsavo man-eaters. This is their story. As night descends upon the dense Kenyan bush, the weary construction workers of the Kenya-Uganda Railway find solace in their sleep. However, amidst the stillness, a faint rustle disrupts the tranquility outside their tents. Suddenly, a spine-chilling growl pierces through the camp, followed by the horrifying sight of a large predator seizing its screaming victim by the ankle and vanishing into the darkness. The unfortunate soul is never seen again. For years, experts in the field of wildlife have been perplexed by the man-eating lions of Tsavo and the enigma surrounding their insatiable appetite for human flesh. But how did the man-eaters of Tsavo earn their chilling reputation? Before we embark on our quest for answers, make sure to subscribe to our channel and share with us the extraordinary historical events that pique your curiosity. Join us as we uncover the haunting events that unfolded during the construction of the Kenya-Uganda Railway Bridge, which was rudely interrupted by these terrifying attacks in March of 1898. Lieutenant Colonel John Patterson arrived at the project site in his role as the overseeing civil engineer just a few days later. However, the tranquility was shattered when one of his supporters mysteriously disappeared. After an extensive search, a horribly mutilated body was discovered, raising concerns that a lion might be responsible for the gruesome act. Filled with determination, Patterson embarked on a mission the following day to track down the elusive predator. To his dismay, instead of finding the single lion he anticipated, Patterson stumbled upon more lifeless bodies. Over the course of 9 harrowing months, the railway workers were plagued by relentless fear as the audacity of the lion attacks escalated. Under the cover of darkness, the Tsavo lions would brazenly infiltrate the camps, snatching victims from the safety of their tents. In this unforgiving jungle, it was clear that the lions showed no signs of slowing down. As one worker poignantly wrote, the lions devoured bones, flesh, skin, and blood, leaving behind no trace of their gruesome feasts. Faced with this terrifying predator, the rail workers attempted to devise defenses, hoping to outsmart these formidable big cats. After all, couldn't humans outmaneuver a couple of wildcats? In an effort to combat the relentless lion attacks, the railway workers implemented various measures to safeguard themselves. Night curfews were instituted, and sentinels were stationed to keep a watchful eye. The daunting task of volunteering for these positions was met with reluctance. Additionally, campfires were built and drums were beaten in an attempt to scare away the lions, but with no success. The workers even constructed makeshift fences from whistle thorn trees, but the lions were able to leap over or crawl through them with ease. During one particularly chaotic attack, so many workers climbed up the same tree to escape that it came crashing down to the ground. Fortunately, the lions had already found a less agile victim that night. The hostile work environment eventually led to a mass exodus, with hundreds of workers fleeing the area. The British colonial authorities intervened and sent officials to restore order to the project. Astonishingly, their solution to the problem was to enlist amateur hunters to take down the bloodthirsty lions. According to Patterson's account, a district officer named Mr. Whitehead and his assistant, Abdullah, arrived at the train depot in the evening, only to be immediately attacked by the lions. The situation remained dire, and the workers continued to live in a constant state of fear as the lions appeared to be unstoppable. Mr. Whitehead was fortunate enough to escape with 4 claw marks, while Abdullah met his demise at the jaws of the lion. This incident served as a stark reminder that one's own survival often comes at the cost of sacrificing others. Just when it seemed that more officials and armed Indian infantrymen had arrived to exterminate the Tsavo lions, an unexpected hero emerged in the form of project-led John Patterson. Patterson's engineering expertise proved to be the secret weapon in this endeavor. Having gained experience hunting tigers during his military service in India, he employed a cunning strategy of turning the tables on the lions. Setting up traps and concealing himself in trees, he patiently awaited the perfect moment to ambush his formidable adversaries. After numerous failed attempts, Patterson finally managed to wound one of the lions in the hind legs, causing it to flee in a violent frenzy. In December of 1898, Patterson achieved a significant milestone by successfully slaying the first of the man-eating lions. This colossal creature measured an impressive 9 feet and 8 inches in length, necessitating the combined effort of 8 men to transport its carcass back to camp. Over the course of the ensuing 20 days, Patterson would continue his pursuit of the remaining lion. Patterson, after firing 2 shots at the second lion, eventually managed to take its life with 3 more rifle rounds. As the creature breathed its last breath, it clung onto a fallen tree branch, its primal instincts refusing to surrender. With the demise of the man-eaters, construction on the railway bridge resumed, swiftly reaching completion within the following 2 months. However, the bridge's fate took a tragic turn less than 2 decades later during the ravages of World War I, once again highlighting the destructive power wielded by humanity. Undeterred, Patterson continued with his pursuits, preserving the lion skins as rugs in his home for a time. Eventually, he made the decision to sell the skins and skulls of the Tsavo lions to the esteemed Field Museum in Chicago, where they found a safe and secure place on display, captivating visitors for years to come. The insatiable thirst for human blood exhibited by these animals left everyone perplexed, prompting various theories to explain their peculiar behavior. One prevailing hypothesis suggested that the lions resorted to hunting humans due to a scarcity of the usual prey. At the time, the Tsavo region was plagued by a relentless 13-year drought, rendering it drier and hotter than other African plains. Additionally, the area was grappling with an outbreak of rinderpest, a viral disease affecting cattle, which potentially decimated the lions' primary food sources. However, subsequent scientific investigations employing isotopic analysis shed new light on the lions' dietary habits. Surprisingly, it was discovered that humans constituted only about 1/3 of their overall diet. This revelation led researchers to conclude that humans served as more of a supplementary food source for the Tsavo lions, rather than their main sustenance. While the drought and rinderpest may have played a role in their behavior, they were likely not the primary catalysts that drove these animals to consume humans. The Tsavo River, where the construction work was underway, harbored a somber past long before the man-eating lions emerged on the scene. It served as a significant route for caravans involved in the Arab slave trade, a dark chapter in history. The mortality rate among slaves was alarmingly high, primarily due to the prevalence of sleeping sickness, a disease transmitted by the tsetse fly in the African savanna. The lifeless bodies of deceased slaves were often discarded along the route, potentially attracting the attention of scavenging lions. Furthermore, it is plausible that the presence of human remains from the Hindu railroad workers, who may have performed ritualistic invocations involving an abridged cremation process, contributed to the lions developing a specific craving for human flesh. Among the various theories, one of the most chilling propositions was that these formidable predators killed for the sheer pleasure of killing. Although John Patterson claimed that the lions were responsible for a staggering tally of 135 human lives, the exact motivations behind their lethal spree remained shrouded in mystery. It is possible that the lions did not consume every person they killed, or perhaps they did not consume any at all. Human encroachment poses a significant threat to the lion's territory and habitat, and it remains one of the primary catalysts for lion attacks even today. The laborers of the Ugandan-Kenyan Railway found themselves operating in a perilous realm, deep within the domain of the relentless lions. The relentless hunting of the workers by the lions gives the impression that there may have been an element of sport involved. Lions are one of the few species, besides humans, known to engage in killing for sport. The Tsavo lions, in particular, exhibited higher levels of testosterone compared to the average lion, which might help explain their notoriously aggressive behavior. As for the true nature of these infamous man-eaters, the speculation abounds. Was it driven by hunger? Was there a supernatural element involved? Or was it simply sport? I invite you to share your theories and delve into the captivating history surrounding these lions in the comments section below.
Under the shroud of night, where shadows whispered secrets, a sinister presence prowled. Operating with stealth and precision, it preyed upon unsuspecting children, snatching them from their slumber. A cunning killer, it had acquired a chilling desire for the taste of human flesh. With each passing night, its tally of victims grew, surpassing a staggering count of 150 lives claimed. This was the enigmatic terror known only as the Leopard of Rudraprayag. In 1918, the Spanish flu pandemic swept the globe, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. The hills of Garhwal bore witness to its merciless grip, enduring the brunt of its impact. Lives were lost on a massive scale as this calamity unfolded in a time of great uncertainty. Nestled in these remote hillside villages were no hospitals or medical facilities to aid the ailing population. Contracting the flu meant an almost certain death sentence. The staggering number of daily fatalities plunged the region into utter chaos. Overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of the loss, the villagers found themselves unable to perform the customary cremation rituals. Instead, they resorted to carrying the lifeless bodies to nearby forests, where they were left to rest. What unfolded was a peculiar series of events within those very jungles. A leopard residing in that wilderness discovered an abundant source of sustenance, lifeless bodies strewn across the forest floor. Over time, it grew accustomed to feasting on human flesh, enticed by the convenience of this newfound feast. However, as the pandemic gradually subsided, the frequency of deaths diminished, giving rise to a fresh predicament. The leopard realized that its supply of deceased bodies had ceased to exist. Consequently, it turned to hunting humans as a means to satiate its hunger. Along the path leading to the sacred sanctuaries nestled within the mountains lay the town of Rudraprayag. Weary pilgrims, exhausted from their arduous journey, became vulnerable targets for the leopard's stealthy and ferocious assaults. Under the cover of darkness, it seized these unsuspecting victims. In a brazen act, it even ventured into a humble hut where pilgrims en route to the revered Kedarnath shrine sought shelter and slumbered. In a chilling act, the leopard seized a slumbering child lying beside their mother. Its formidable jaws clamped ruthlessly around the child's throat, silencing any attempt at a cry. With a disturbing calmness, the predator carried its helpless prey away from the scene. The following morning brought forth a scene of horror as a search unveiled the grim sight, a partially devoured body of the child, abandoned approximately a mile from the hut. On another tragic occasion, the life of a young orphan boy was extinguished by the leopard's lethal grasp. Employed by a farmer to tend to the sheep, the boy had been assigned a bed within a meager shack alongside the livestock. Under the cover of night, the leopard forcefully tore through the shack's feeble door, making off with the boy. The child's anguished cries for help went unheard by his slumbering master, comfortably nestled in his larger dwelling. Week after week, the leopard continued its deadly raids, striking with unwavering precision. Fear and terror permeated the lives of the villagers as the creature fearlessly and confidently traversed from one village to another, shrouded by the protective cloak of darkness. The uneducated and superstitious populace, gripped by dread, began attributing the animal to a manifestation of the devil. Even the English government officials whispered about the creature in hushed tones, acknowledging its ominous presence. The British soldiers and amateur hunters made futile attempts to track down the elusive predator. Faced with mounting frustration, the district administration turned to Jim Corbett, a renowned resident of Nainital renowned for his expertise in hunting down man-eating tigers. Determined to eliminate this relentless killer once and for all, Corbett arrived in Rudraprayag. Thus began a battle of wits between the devilishly cunning creature and the seasoned hunter. Corbett employed various tactics, attempting to entice the leopard into traps on numerous nights. Yet, the elusive feline seemed to possess an uncanny sixth sense, always aware of the lurking rifleman's whereabouts. If Corbett patiently awaited the predator's arrival in one village, it would strike in another. If he ventured to the newly targeted location, the leopard would stealthily return to the initial site. It took the seasoned hunter more than an entire year to achieve his objective. Revisiting a trick he had previously employed, Corbett cleverly fastened a goat near a tree and positioned himself atop one of its branches throughout the night. A bell was tethered around the goat's neck, ensuring that any movement or abduction of the goat would produce a distinct jingling sound, alerting Corbett to the unfolding events. In the late hours of the night, well past midnight, a symphony of barking dogs resounded through the village. Corbett, possessing an uncanny intuition as a hunter, sensed the presence of the formidable leopard lurking nearby. With utmost caution, he adjusted his rifle, aligning it precisely towards the location where the goat was tethered. Then a swift and fleeting rush sliced through the air, accompanied by the frantic tinkling of the bell adorning the goat's neck. Amidst the encompassing darkness, Corbett could discern the faint outline of the goat's white coat. Reacting swiftly, he activated a flashlight he had in his possession. In an instant, the scene unfolded before him, the leopard caught in the act of slaying its prey. With his rifle already aimed, Corbett had but one task remaining: to squeeze the trigger. A resolute shot rang out, and Corbett's experienced instincts confirmed a successful hit. The creature leaped into the air, crashing down heavily. Corbett deduced that it was either dead or grievously injured. Unfortunately, in an ill-timed twist of fate, his flashlight abruptly extinguished. Consequently, he found himself unable to ascertain the true condition of the animal. If it were merely wounded, approaching it would prove exceedingly imprudent. After a while, a gentle tinkling of the bell reached Corbett's ears once again. He surmised that the goat, now undisturbed, resumed contentedly grazing on the surrounding grass. It was evident that the leopard was incapacitated and posed no further threat. Nonetheless, Corbett exercised patience, remaining perched in the tree until the break of dawn when visibility improved. With the first rays of light, he cautiously descended from his vantage point. To his satisfaction, it became apparent that his shot had not missed its mark. The lone bullet had found its target just above the animal's chest. The wounded leopard had staggered approximately 50 yards before succumbing to its injuries, now lifeless upon the ground. Thus concluded the tale of a tyrannical creature that had plagued the neighboring villages for countless years, instilling terror as it claimed the lives of both children and adults alike. The villagers rejoiced upon receiving news of the demise of the shaitan, as they had come to dub it. They organized a grand celebration to commemorate the occasion, an event that, according to magazine reports, continues to be observed to this day, serving as a testament to the liberation from fear that the community experienced.
"436 victims. A 7-year reign of terror." The Champawat tiger boasts the record for the most human kills by any single animal in history. She is known as the Devil of India. On a chilling afternoon in 1997, a young girl ventured into the heart of a dense Indian jungle alongside two fellow villagers. Their destination, a mysterious ravine shrouded in an eerie silence. The air hung heavy with anticipation, as if nature itself held its breath, bracing for an impending storm. Armed with baskets and knives, the trio ascended the towering trees, their whispers of gossip mingling with the rustle of leaves. The young girl, her basket now brimming with the coveted foliage, prepared to descend. With a cautious maneuver, she eased herself off the branch, her heart pulsating with an inexplicable sense of unease. Yet, her fears were abruptly realized as a bone-chilling shriek escaped her trembling lips. A beast, a tiger of untamed ferocity, had seized her delicate foot in its razor-sharp claws. Panic engulfed her being as she fought desperately to cling to the tree, her nails digging into the bark like a desperate plea for salvation. But in a vicious display of power, the relentless predator yanked her mercilessly from her sanctuary, casting her into the impenetrable abyss of the forest. Amidst the severity of her own anguished cries, the young girl's ears caught the haunting chorus of her companion's terror. Their agonized pleas echoed through the air, mingling with the primal roars of the ravenous beast. In the darkest depths of the green wilderness, her fate was sealed. The jaws of the insatiable tiger closed around her fragile throat, extinguishing her cries in a final, chilling breath. With her demise, the devil that haunted the very soul of India claimed yet another victim, its infamous tally now standing at a sinister 434. In the treacherous depths of 19th-century India, a relentless battle raged between man and tiger. The ferocity of this conflict was so immense that it left no room for certainty. Victory could be claimed by either predator or prey. It was a time when fear prowled the land, and the villagers dared not venture between settlements alone. Instead, they banded together, clutching their torches high, hoping to ward off the insatiable man-eaters that lurked within the shadows of the wilderness. The Bengal tigers, exceptionally formidable, possessed a power that struck terror into the hearts of those who dared defy them. With a bite force exceeding 1,000 pounds per square inch and canines that surpassed those of any other feline, they were masterful hunters. Their sinewy bodies could traverse great distances, carrying their prey for miles, regardless of its weight. And with lightning speed, they could sprint at a breathtaking pace of 40 miles per hour. But perhaps most chilling of all was their ability to hold grudges, relentlessly pursuing those who had wronged them. One can only fathom the living nightmare that ensued when an abundance of these majestic beasts terrorized the people of India. For over 4 harrowing years, this elusive tigress had tormented the inhabitants, her reign of terror unyielding. Driven away from the quaint village of Nepal, she had found solace in the darkness, relentlessly claiming victim after victim. Eventually, the besieged village resorted to placing a bounty on her head, beckoning hunters from far and wide to confront the menace that haunted their every waking moment. But one by one, these seasoned hunters returned home, their spirits crushed and their efforts in vain. The tigress, far more cunning than anyone had anticipated, eluded their grasp, leaving them in a wake of shame and failure. Yet, amidst the despair and desperation, a glimmer of hope emerged. A young man named Jim Corbett, who had spent his life navigating the treacherous landscapes of India, engaging in relentless hunts for various creatures, caught wind of the call. Unyielding in his determination, he dared to face the beast, fully aware of the peril that awaited him. He faced a formidable adversary, a monster of untold savagery. The call had come, summoning him to confront one of the most vicious man-eaters to ever haunt the land. But Jim, even in his youthful naivety, possessed a wisdom that eluded his fellow hunters. He saw beyond the facade of a crazed beast and recognized the desperate struggle for survival that lay within. With a steely resolve, he demanded that the bounty on the tiger's head be removed. This was not a hunt driven by the allure of wealth. It was a battle against an animal that needed to be stopped. For 4 grueling days, Jim ventured through the sweltering jungles, his determination unwavering. Finally, he stumbled upon the village of Pali, only to find it in a state of disarray. The once bustling square lay desolate, a haunting emptiness permeating the air. His keen eyes detected movement within the huts, a flicker of life amidst the desolation. Setting foot in the town square, he kindled a fire, its crackling flames casting eerie shadows that danced upon the worn stones. And there, he waited, his senses heightened, attuned to every sound that pierced the silence. Time stood still, the weight of anticipation hanging heavy in the air. Then, like phantoms emerging from the darkness, the terrified villagers emerged from their homes. Wide-eyed and trembling, they recounted their tales of horror. For 4 interminable days, they had been prisoners within their own dwellings, seeking refuge from the relentless terror that prowled the land. The tiger's roars echoed through the night, a chilling symphony of impending doom. Fear had paralyzed them, rendering them motionless, but now, they knew they could no longer remain passive. Their desperation was palpable, etched upon their sunken faces. Food supplies dwindled, and the specter of starvation loomed over them like a vulture ready to feast. Jim Corbett, the beacon of hope amidst their despair, became their last lifeline, their final chance at salvation. With a sense of urgency, he enlisted the aid of a companion and embarked on a perilous journey towards the desolate ravine, the haunting site of the young girl's tragic demise. As they ventured deeper into the wilderness, their eyes scanned the ground for any sign, any trace left behind by the elusive predator. And there, amidst the untamed landscape, Corbett's trained eye detected the enigmatic trail, the indelible footprints of the tiger. A shiver ran down his spine as he realized the true nature of their opponent. It was no ordinary beast. They were dealing with a seasoned, experienced female, her prime long gone. The gravity of the situation weighed heavily upon them, as they stood surrounded by the grim remnants, mere fragments of bone, all that remained of the unfortunate victim. With solemn determination, they gathered the remains, their purpose clear, to offer a proper funeral, a final tribute to the fallen. But fate had more horrors in store. Whispers of a fresh tragedy echoed through the village, leading Corbett on a treacherous path towards neighboring settlements. There, he encountered a group of horrified witnesses, their eyes filled with terror as they recounted the chilling encounter. Their trembling voices revealed a tale of pure malevolence. A devilish creature, known as Shaitan, had seized a woman by the small of her back, tearing her away into the dense canopy of trees. With desperation in her voice, the victim had wailed for salvation, begging for help amidst her agonizing screams. However, paralyzed by their own fears, the witnesses had remained rooted to the spot, powerless to confront the merciless beast that was unleashing terror upon their village. As Corbett delved deeper into the mysteries that enshrouded the area, he crossed paths with a destitute woman on the outskirts of town. Her haunted eyes spoke volumes, revealing the horrors she had endured. Struck dumb by the ferocity of a tiger attack that had claimed her sister's life months ago, she had been left with nothing but a shattered voice. In a desperate act of self-sacrifice, she had pursued the tiger, beseeching the fearsome creature to take her instead. Yet, her pleas had fallen on deaf ears, as the tiger callously ignored her cries, vanishing without a trace into the forbidding wilderness. Corbett absorbed every fragment of information, piecing together the enigmatic puzzle that surrounded these elusive tigers. But the knowledge he gained only served as a foundation, a mere starting point. He hungered for a breakthrough, a powerful lead that would thrust him closer to his quarry. And as fate would have it, while Corbett engaged in a conversation with the village elder, a young man, panting and wide-eyed, abruptly appeared before him. His words tumbled out in a breathless flurry, conveying the truth: the devil had struck once more. Determination ignited within Corbett, fueling his resolve. With a firm grip on his rifle, he set forth into the foreboding depths of the jungle, his footsteps echoing with a palpable sense of purpose. It was time to confront the tiger, to bring an end to her reign of terror once and for all. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting ominous shadows, Corbett's mind raced with the realization that darkness would render him helpless against the formidable predator. With a sense of urgency, he retraced his steps, his thoughts consumed by a new plan. He understood that venturing into the tiger's own territory would tip the scales in her favor, putting him in grave danger. Instead, he needed to manipulate the situation, to lure her into an area where he could gain a clear shot. As the first light of dawn painted the sky, Corbett positioned the villagers strategically. On one hill stood the crest, while at the bottom lay a wide ravine. His plan hinged on their cooperation, to create a cacophony of noise, a symphony of chaos that would flush the tiger out of her hiding place, forcing her into the open. Meanwhile, Corbett positioned himself on the neighboring hill, his heart pounding in his chest as he prepared for the moment of truth. But perhaps, the villagers' eagerness got the better of them. In their fervor, they unleashed a deafening uproar, far earlier than anticipated, a staggering 150 yards away from Corbett's desired position. Panic surged through him, his instincts screaming at him to reach his designated spot. With every muscle straining, he sprinted across the treacherous terrain, his footing uncertain, his life hanging in the balance. Above him, on the other side of the ravine, the cacophony reached a crescendo. Guns fired, pots and pans clashed, and screams pierced the air. Corbett flung himself to the ground, concealing his presence in the tall grass, his heart pounding against his ribcage. The symphony of chaos engulfed him, drowning out all other sounds, and his hope wavered. Then, she emerged. A vision of regal grace, the tiger trotted through the underbrush, her eyes wide with alarm, her ears flattened against her skull in response to the ruckus that echoed around her. In that fleeting moment, Corbett's training and skill converged. He steadied his aim, the weight of the world on his shoulders, and squeezed the trigger. The bullet found its mark, striking her rump. A snarl erupted from her throat as she sprang into motion, fueled by fury and pain, the second shot narrowly missing its intended target, trailing behind her retreating figure. Corbett's heart sank, a mixture of relief and disappointment washing over him. He had wounded her, but she had managed to elude capture once again. The chase was far from over. With grim determination, he rose from his concealed position, his gaze locked on the fading silhouette of the tigress. This deadly dance between hunter and hunted had only just begun, and he knew that the stakes had been raised. The relentless pursuit would continue until either he prevailed, or the tiger's reign of terror claimed its next victim. He followed the trail of blood. There amidst the swaying grass, he caught a glimpse of her piercing eyes, gleaming with an untamed ferocity. Time seemed to stand still as he steadied himself, knowing that this was the defining moment. He had to make a split-second decision. Without hesitation, he squeezed the trigger, the deafening sound of the gunshot ripping through the air. The world seemed to hold its breath as the bullet hurtled towards its target, a testament to Corbett's unwavering resolve. The suspense hung heavy, as if time itself had frozen, uncertain of the outcome. And then, in an instant, the truth revealed itself. The tigress, startled by the resounding crack of the gunshot, recoiled with a primal growl of pain and fury. The scene unfolded in a surreal dance of life and death, a dangerous ballet between predator and prey. Corbett's heart pounded in his chest as he watched her reaction, his fate intertwined with hers. But would his shot be enough to bring her down? The answer remained shrouded in uncertainty, as the suspense lingered in the air like a tangible presence. The grass rustled, obscuring his view, amplifying the tension that gripped his every fiber. The suspense was unbearable, the stakes impossibly high. In that moment, it became clear, this was a battle of survival, a test of courage and skill. It was him or her, locked in a deadly struggle for dominance. Corbett's mind raced, his muscles tense with anticipation. He knew that there was no room for doubt or hesitation. His life depended on the accuracy of that second shot. With his finger poised on the trigger, he braced himself for the final act. Time seemed to slow as he took aim once more, his focus unyielding. The world around him faded into the background, his entire being consumed by the weight of the moment. And then, with a surge of determination, he unleashed the bullet into the darkened abyss. The suspense reached its climax, a crescendo of uncertainty. The outcome remained shrouded in the unknown, as the untamed wilderness held its breath. Corbett stood there, his heart pounding, his ears ringing with the echoes of his own actions. The suspense hung heavy in the air, as anticipation and fear intertwined. All that remained was the haunting silence, a void waiting to be filled with the truth. Had he succeeded? Had his shot found its mark, silencing the threat that had plagued the land? The answer lingered, elusive and enigmatic, as the suspense continued to grip Corbett's soul. It was a battle of wits and survival, a moment where destiny hung by a fragile thread. Only time would reveal the outcome. A revelation that would either mark Corbett as the victor or condemn him to the clutches of the relentless predator that stalked the shadows. In that suspended moment, as the suspense engulfed him, he could only hope that he had made the right choice, that his second shot had sealed his fate as the hunter who had outwitted the untamable beast. He followed the trail of blood again, and there he found her. Her teeth flashed as a warning, and she charged. He took his third and final shot. In an instant, she fell into a heap. Corbett ascended the rugged stone outcrop with bated breath. As he knelt beside her, his heart pounded in his chest. A wave of sorrow washed over him as he beheld the shattered remnants of her once glistening jewel. Above and below the fractured surface, a lament against humanity echoed through the air. She was the victim of a callous hunter, a wretch who had wounded her years ago and callously neglected to finish the job. The bullet had ravaged her body, leaving her completely crippled. How long had she endured excruciating pain? In her desperate quest for sustenance, she had resorted to attacking and killing villagers, driven by a hunger that knew no bounds. Shaitan, Shaitan, the word reverberated across the ravine, carrying with it a collective outcry of anger and fear. Before Corbett could comprehend the situation, a furious mob of villagers descended upon him. Their demand was clear. They sought to take possession of the wounded tigress, eager to exact their revenge by hacking her into pieces. Each of these men had suffered at the hands of this formidable predator, and their wrath was understandable. But Corbett couldn't allow them to carry out such a grisly act. With a steely resolve, he somehow managed to quell their rage. Gradually, the frenzied mob subsided, their fury yielding to a somber realization. Reluctantly, Corbett relinquished his hold on the tigress, and the villagers bore her down from the rocky perch with a newfound reverence. The reign of terror was at an end. The tigress, once feared as a devil incarnate, would now be paraded from village to village. Her lifeless form would serve as proof to all who beheld her that she was gone. Corbett knew that he would eventually claim her as a trophy, her magnificent skin a testament to his prowess. But before embarking on his final journey, he had one crucial stop to make. Clutching the bell in his hand, he sought out the mute woman. As he revealed the lifeless skin of the tigress, a spark ignited within her eyes. With an urgency that could not be contained, she sprinted towards the village, her voice resonating with a long-lost fervor. Word spread like wildfire as she called out to all, beckoning them to witness the sight before them. Corbett couldn't forget the awestruck expressions etched upon the faces of her children. For a full year, their mother had been silenced, her voice held captive by an unknown force. But now, in the presence of the tigress's skin, she found her voice once again. The tale of the man-eater lingered in the air, casting a chilling shadow over the village. It was a story of darkness, tragedy, and the unleashed fury of nature. Yet, at its core, it served as a rallying cry against the injustices that plagued their world. The true villain was not the tigress, but the hunter whose foolishness had set this calamity in motion. By merely wounding her instead of delivering a swift death, he had unwittingly transformed her into a fearsome predator. It was conceivable that her anger had festered, fueling her insatiable need to claim human lives. Tigers were known to harbor grudges, after all. But perhaps, amidst the terror that gripped their hearts, they could find solace in the tigress's story. It served as a stark reminder that sometimes, anger could be justified. The devil had met its demise.
In the year 1987, a chilling tale began to unfold. Whispers of a monstrous Nile crocodile, a true terror of the waters, started to circulate. This creature was unlike any other, stretching an astonishing 20 feet in length, weighing over a ton, and rumored to be a century old. Gunfire proved futile against its impenetrable skin, leaving all who encountered it in a state of sheer helplessness. The death toll, a staggering 300 victims and counting, bore witness to the ruthless reign of this predator. The legend of the killer crocodile reached the ears of the authorities, prompting them to take action as early as 1987. The relentless onslaught of attacks had struck fear into the hearts of the people. Its presence was unmistakable, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. Tales of its cunning tactics and sinister ability to lure unsuspecting fishermen to their doom began to surface. With a powerful flick of its tail, it would send waves crashing into their canoes, toppling them into the treacherous waters, ready to be devoured. The beast was said to be impervious to bullets, soldiers claiming that it would consume the very ammunition meant to bring it down. Whispered rumors spoke of its elusive nature, migrating in and out of Lake Tanganyika. As it retreated from the villages, the killings ceased, further cementing the belief that this monstrous crocodile was indeed the culprit. By the year 1998, the desperate plea for help reached the ears of Patrice Fay, a renowned French naturalist. Summoned to face this formidable foe, he embarked on what seemed to be an impossible quest. Patrice's initial resolve to eliminate the beast wavered upon their first encounter. And the day arrived when he caught a true glimpse, of the creature. In that moment, his eyes met the gaze of a prehistoric marvel, a relic of a bygone era. It was a colossal crocodile that defied imagination. In that fateful moment, as he aimed his rifle and pulled the trigger, he realized the creature was far from an easy target. The bullets struck, but they failed to affect him. Instead, the monstrous reptile merely shrugged off the assault, taunting Patrice with its resilience. It was a chilling display of power. For the next 2 years, Patrice became an unwavering shadow, following the creature's every move, and studying its behavior with unwavering dedication. But as rumors spread and journalists descended upon the scene, Patrice labeled the beast with a name associated with his devotion. Gustave, he whispered, a word laden with trepidation. Through tireless investigation, Patrice uncovered the extent of Gustave's domain. The beast's vast range spanned from Lake Tanganyika, stretching over 20 miles up the treacherous Ruzizi River, deep into a wilderness untouched by human hands. Within the impenetrable borders of Ruzizi National Park, the purpose behind Gustave's relentless migrations became clear: to seek out potential mates. Yet, these journeys were marred by a trail of terror. Attacks would inevitably occur, leaving a chilling reminder of Gustave's insatiable hunger. Fish and cows fell victim to his voracious appetite. But the most unsettling account spoke of a monstrous act: the killing and consumption of an entire hippopotamus. An act that defied all sense of reason. The mysteries surrounding Gustave loomed like a dark cloud, casting an ominous shadow over Patrice's quest. But as he delved deeper into Gustave's world, he couldn't shake the unsettling feeling that this obsession would lead them both to the brink of danger. A sinister revelation sent shivers down Patrice's spine. The truth emerged, revealing a chilling taste that lurked within the depths of the predator's instincts. Buried within the river and lake, remnants of the past wars in Burundi lay discarded, lifeless bodies cast aside. The realization struck Patrice like a bolt of lightning, igniting a macabre fascination with humans as prey. The haunting question lingered in his mind: how many lives had this creature claimed? The number, a haunting calculation of his own making, whispered ominously, 300. If the killings had persisted for 2 decades, the toll would undoubtedly exceed that figure. The tides of death swirled around this colossal crocodile, its insatiable appetite fueling a relentless pursuit. A concerted effort was mounted to eradicate the menace that plagued the land. The arrival of a documentary crew in Burundi marked a turning point, igniting global attention. The 2004 documentary, Capturing the Killer Croc, thrust Gustave into the spotlight, captivating audiences worldwide. For the first time, people from across the globe bore witness to the enormity of the beast. His imposing presence, marked by countless bullet wounds and scars that adorned his body, was an undeniable testament to his indomitable nature. Patrice joined forces with renowned crocodile experts, Alison Leslie and Mark Danswana, in a desperate bid to ensnare Gustave. A massive trap was constructed, meticulously baited with a tantalizing offering. A live goat, a sacrificial offering to lure the monstrous creature. Hope mingled with trepidation as they awaited their quarry, but fortune proved fickle. One fateful night, disaster struck. The trap, a carefully crafted fortress of capture, succumbed to nature's wrath as the waters rose, flooding its confines. Dawn's light revealed a grim reality. The goat, the bait that had beckoned Gustave, had vanished without a trace. The mystery deepened, the stakes heightened. Patrice and his team found themselves entangled in a web of uncertainty. Gustave remained elusive, a predator that defied their every attempt to capture him. Gustave, the elusive predator, held a reputation that surpassed mere ferocity. Patrice's mind whirled with thoughts, contemplating the cunning nature of this creature. The year 2004 had etched a horrifying chapter in the annals of fear, as Gustave claimed the lives of 17 victims within a harrowing 30-day span. The realization gnawed at Patrice's consciousness, fueling a desperate plan. A concoction of tranquilizers would be his weapon, a means to subdue Gustave. affixing a radio collar to track his movements before releasing him back into the murky depths. It was a precarious gamble. A delicate dance between predator and prey, intended to safeguard the unsuspecting populace by providing early warnings of Gustave's approach. Yet, as the predator roamed free, the threat loomed large, casting a pall of fear over the nation of Burundi. Or did it? Now, let us cast a discerning eye upon this tale, delving deeper into its enigmatic layers. The first claim that demands scrutiny is the assertion that Gustave is the largest crocodile ever recorded. While there is no denying his formidable size, the absence of concrete measurements renders such a proclamation dubious. Reports of longer Nile crocodiles have emerged, including a purported 25-footer dating back to 1903. The veracity of these accounts remains shrouded in uncertainty, casting a shadow of doubt upon Gustave's claim to unrivaled proportions. Similarly, the age attributed to Gustave during the 2004 documentary raises eyebrows. Whispers circulated, asserting that this behemoth of a crocodile had reached the centennial mark. Yet, a peculiar detail emerged, one that challenged the notion of his advanced age. How could a creature with such a multitude of robust and intact teeth be considered ancient? Time, relentless in its passage, would have eroded a significant portion of Gustave's dental arsenal. It is vital to remember that sheer size does not necessarily equate to advanced age. The riddle of Gustave's origins and lifespan remained cloaked in uncertainty, his true story concealed beneath layers of speculation. The enigma deepened, leaving us to ponder the true nature of this menacing predator. A creature whose shadow loomed large over the waters of Burundi. Contrary to the prevailing notion, crocodiles do not possess an eternal capacity for growth. Their size reaches a pinnacle, a point where growth ceases, and they reach their maximum stature. The key to their formidable dimensions lies in their early years. A young crocodile thriving in a warm environment, with ample food and minimal competition, can experience expansive growth. Taking these factors into account, Gustave appeared to be around 60 years old during the time of the documented footage. The enigma surrounding this formidable creature deepened, as fragments of certainty crumbled beneath the weight of truth. The mystery of Gustave's reign, once shrouded in inflated numbers and unfounded claims, beckoned us to delve further into the labyrinth of half-truths and misperceptions. The sinister truth, veiled in the shadows, awaited discovery. As the puzzle of Gustave's legacy continued to unravel, given the persisting occurrence of fatal attacks, it is reasonable to conclude that he may not have been responsible for all of them, and perhaps not even the majority. I also want to address how Gustave became a man-eater in the first place. Well, it's possible that encounters with dead bodies played a role, but it's not the sole reason for his shift towards attacking humans. Crocodiles, in general, have a greater inclination towards viewing humans as prey, compared to the smaller American alligator. However, the motivation for a crocodile to actively hunt down humans is primarily based on learned behavior. If a crocodile successfully attacks and consumes a human, it forms an association that humans are an easy target. This learned behavior becomes the catalyst for focusing on humans as prey, rather than an inherent taste for human flesh. Based on the information provided by Patrice and Brandon, it can be deduced that Gustave did kill some people, but the number of 300 seems far-fetched. It may be that Gustave became the default suspect whenever there was an attack, leading to a disproportionate attribution of attacks to him. The current whereabouts of Gustave remain a mystery. in Michael Garlock's book Killer Gators and Crocs, published in 2006. It was claimed that Gustave was finally captured, stating that he became a victim of his own appetite and was trapped successfully. However, this account seems to be contradicted by reports in 2009, which indicated that Gustave was still at large, accompanied by photographic evidence. The last reported sighting of Gustave alive was in 2015, when he was observed by some villagers devouring an animal. However, in 2019, Africa Travel magazine reported that Gustave had finally been killed. One reader even claimed that he met his demise while in captivity. However, considering the unfortunate circumstances surrounding Patrice Faye, who faced serious accusations in 2011 and was charged accordingly, the situation regarding Gustave's fate remains uncertain. The whereabouts of Patrice are unclear, as he could either be imprisoned, residing in France, or living incognito in Togo. While I won't delve into the details surrounding Patrice, it's safe to assume that he may no longer possess knowledge regarding Gustave's current status. The story of this crocodile captivates us, as it embodies the timeless struggle between man and beast. It serves as a testament to the existence of modern-day dinosaurs, and the undeniable power of nature over humanity. Perhaps this crocodile truly embodies our worst nightmares.